There is no wound like a God-sized wound. What is up, winning team? And today we're going to get very deep, very fast. So just know that if you're not ready to go there, you might want to skip this one. That's okay. This is why I even have to be outside, because I just need to be somewhere. I need to be still, because it's been an emotional 24 hours with the Lord, because last night I just had a revelation about love. And I just never really realized, I didn't understand what love is. I know that sounds so strange to say, but I really didn't understand it fully. Or no, I'll never understand it fully. Let's be honest, guys, we're human, and that's the point. Love is understanding that we're just humans. And I honestly believe that's why God is love, for that reason, because he's the one who behaves as much as though we are just humans. So I'm going to unpack this for you all, okay? I need you to run with me. This is going to be hard for me to articulate because I've been going through it. I'm still going through it. I'm very emotional. I was just crying just now. I've just been emotional because, just doing the deep inner thinking. And I decided to watch the second season of 9 Perfect Strangers. And it's going to become relevant because they were in the show, they were going back to their old memories and dealing with their old traumas, and it's all but they were using psychedelics. And I just found it fascinating how, a lot of people these days, they're trying to find something, they're trying to find healing, they're trying to find answers. One of the ladies was like, I've done all this therapy, that therapy, I've tried this, I've tried everything. Most of them have tried everything, and they just can't shake what's happened. And I often have felt like that. And I believe that about us as humans in general. I believe so much about our lives and how we behave and how we live is us living out trauma responses. I've said this before, our demeanor, our temperaments, the things that we are passionate about, the things that we do. It's everything becomes driven by our trauma. Even the other day, whether we like it or not. That's why I think when people talk about healing, I think a lot of people's idea of healing isn't real healing. It's more you just learned really well how to manage the symptoms. You know what I mean? That's why I don't even like to take painkillers when I'm in pain. And well, you guys know I don't really like to take pharmaceuticals in general. Because it's you're not healing anything. We're just finding ways to deal with the symptoms. You know what I'm saying? And I've said this a lot. And that's why I wanted to talk about a God-sized wound, because I truly believe that everybody, right, to some extent has God-sized wounds. Because I've said this to you guys before, I don't believe that anybody truly believes God doesn't exist, right? I believe that people have severe issues with God and are not prepared to deal with it, because those are the most difficult issues to deal with. Because it's one thing talking to humans where we are imperfect and we make mistakes, and we can almost it's so weird for me, because where people have a lot of understanding for humans, but but don't have understanding with God, I feel like I have a lot of understanding with humans, and a lot of understanding of God, but I don't really have a lot of understanding with humans these days. Because you guys will hear me in my videos, I talk all the time about how, as humans, we ruin everything. My whole series has been about this. My current series about if why do humans choose evil? It's because we choose evil because we're humans. That's the point, you guys. And even with this thing with God, this is why I wanted to address it, because look, I don't think the only type of thinking where you think that having a problem with God, right, or him upsetting you or doing something, the only reason people see that and have issues with God and then choose to just walk away is because that's what we do as humans. That's what our love is like. We as humans don't know how to love at all. So the same, I've started to think more and more about it, how the same way that we treat it's very revealing how, see guys, I told you I was going to struggle through this. It's very revealing about a person, about who they are, when you hear what they have to say about God. Because in my opinion, a lot of times people will behave oh, well, I asked God to do this and he didn't do this for me, and so I don't believe in him. I'm so you base your love and your relationships off people giving you what you want, and if things are not done on your terms, then that means it's not real. Or if God allowed me to, if God loved me, right, then why have I gone through all these things? So your assumption is that if you're in a relationship with somebody that you love, that nothing bad, there's never going to be anything bad that's supposed to be able to happen, right? And this is all because we all see God as supposedly perfect. He's the only one claiming to be perfect, right? But I'm like, but these are these same things that people do with God. This is what tells me that love doesn't live in the world. Because I've been thinking about this a lot, right? I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, and one of the things that really hit me when I was watching Nine Perfect Strangers is the lady was having a conversation with one of the main woman who runs the whole retreat that they all go to do all this stuff. She says to one of the ladies there, in fact, she was a nun. She used to be a nun, and somebody died on her watch, and it made her question God, right? Which, again, it's so funny how God always gets brought into the picture. It's like, this is what I'm saying. It's like, we clearly have a problem with him, but no one seems to be prepared to just address the elephant in the room. And this is what I'm saying. If you really love somebody, you'll address those things because you wouldn't want to lose the relationship. Like, you wouldn't want to lose it. You would want to, like, because that's why I'm saying that. It just is so revealing about how we see love in the world, right? Anyway, so she was like, you know, the lady was like, we need to talk about forgiveness. And she's like, I don't struggle to forgive. And this is the first time I've heard somebody talk about forgiveness and I've actually related, because I've told you guys so many times, I've never understood the problem with unforgiveness my whole life, because two reasons. Number one, well, for one main reason, I know I've done wrong myself. So who am I to go and hold on to things? I know that even on my best day with my best efforts, I've still hurt people. I've still been the villain. You know what I mean? Unknowingly sometimes, unknowingly most of the time. You know what I mean? And so I've never really struggled with forgiving others, but I've always struggled. This is what the nun said. She can't forgive herself. And then the lady was like, but you should forgive yourself because the things of da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. And this was the first time I actually related to anybody talking about forgiveness. She said, yeah, but what's the point in forgiving myself? Because it won't change what happened. And that's something I say to God all the time. I'm like, God, why does this matter? You guys know I be out here sharing all my own traumas with you all because I want to foster like a space where we actually talk about things and we actually talk about the real stuff. I'm sick of us all waking up. Like, this is why I say yesterday I made a video and I was saying, I'm always thinking about, I wonder if we could see people's lives from the version of themselves that exists when no one else is there, how different we would all see the world and how different we would see each other. Because what I realized is the reason why I feel like I don't want to forgive myself because it's already happened is because what's already happened, humans are not going to forgive you for it. It doesn't matter if I forgive myself. And to an extent, it doesn't matter if God forgives me. As far as me and going to be with him and having our relationship restored, then it matters. But as far as humans, people will be like, look at the society today. And social media has only give us a magnifying glass into how truthful what I'm saying really is. People will look back at something that somebody did when they were 14. Like, I'm seeing kids going to prison. Like, how could a child go to prison? Right? They're like 16. How can they go to prison for life and be tried as an adult? Because how are they supposed to know they're a child? You're not allowed to make mistakes in this world. You're not allowed to be a human. And this is what I've realized. You're not allowed to be a human. You're not allowed to be a human. And the only person who actually appreciates that we're humans is actually God at the end of the day. And that's why when we approach God with the same logic that we approach people with, we come into problems because you're thinking, oh, God isn't going to love me. It's like when people go on and on about, oh, but your belief system is homophobic. You're homophobic. God is like, Christianity is not homophobic. Christianity is not homophobic. Some people so-called calling themselves Christians are homophobic, right? Because again, it's like sometimes when people say certain logics to me, I'm like, does it not make sense to you that then that's not logical? It's like, this person claims to be of God. If that person claims, and I asked God, that's how we got here. I asked God, I said, and this was years ago, I was like, God, if we're really going to go there, like, it was a 2-stage process. The first stage was I said, you know what, God, I'm going to stop trying to think you can only use me once I'm perfect. I'm going to stop overthinking like my behavior and my sins. I'm just going to focus on trying to get to know you and being like open with you, right? That was the first thing, which 90% of Christians are not even there. They're still trying to prove themselves. You know why? Because that's what we do as humans. We have to prove ourselves to people. We have to show up like this. Like, I've recently been starting to refer to myself as damaged goods. And do you guys want to know the real truth of why I don't want to have kids? I don't think I'll have what it takes. I don't think I have what it takes. I feel like from what I've been through, from all the trauma, I don't think I'll ever be good enough. That's the God's honest truth about it. I don't think I'll ever be good enough. I don't think I'll ever be a good enough friend. That's why I don't really want to have relationships with people. You know, people always think, oh, because you don't want to get disappointed. And it's like, that's another human way of thinking. Because we're always focused on ourselves. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be hurt. No, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to be the one hurting people. I don't want to see people get hurt. I don't want to be the author of somebody else's trauma. I don't want to be the reason that they're in therapy. I don't even want to be the reason that they are crying or they're bleeding or that they are, they are having to go to therapy or all of this. I don't want to be that because I love them. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so when I'm telling you that love doesn't live here, it doesn't. It's humans. Humans don't allow humans to be humans. And then we take our human logic and we go and apply it to God. Like the second thing I did, right? I said, God, if so-and-so and so-and-so are specific people I asked about, right? My own people that I know personally, right? I'm like, how comes they call themselves a Christian and they behave like this? Because the Bible says this and they're doing that, right? So can please explain it to me? And again, not in the human aspect of, well, you've hurt me and now I'm here to be against you because this is what humans do. So humans do. We have all this pride and unforgiveness because we've been done wrong and we've been hurt and we've had this, right? So then we come to that same energy with God. We don't do what you would do in an actual relationship with somebody you love and respect. And you say, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe I'm missing something. So let me talk to you with openness and listen with respect and say, hey, I'm not happy about this. What is this? Because this is not adding up, right? But because we think with human logic and we love like how humans love, right? This is why humans are the ones who hate. Humans, not God. I mean, there are things that he hates, and all the things that he hates are the things that are the furthest from love, right? Things like, it's in Proverbs. I can't remember which passage it was exactly. It's like Proverbs 20 something, right? If you want to find it, you can Google like, what 7 things does God hate in the Bible? Because it's like a list. It's like there's 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination. And one of them is hurting children. And isn't it ironic that I have a channel where I have been talking about child trafficking and hurting kids and working with kids my entire life. And I've realized they are the ones who are being the most abused, the ones who people just take excuses to do whatever they want with them, right? And everyone's just getting away with it. These are the things that people are getting away with. These things. I even saw the other day on social media, I was actually impressed. I was pleased for once that this girl at a school, she'd sent a Snapchat or whatever to her friends. She's 16, right? In high school. And she sent a Snapchat to her friends and the FBI shows up, right? Because basically she had said something about like, oh, I could shoot so-and-so. Like she used the term shooting, which obviously school shooting, yada, yada, yada. And the FBI pulled up. And I was so glad that the freaking adult population for once, which maybe it was actually not even the adults because it's social media, I don't know, could have been other young people, were like, so the FBI can show up for this, but the FBI can't show up and find all these files we've been looking for and all this proof for all these cases. Exactly, because they're backing that, because that's what the world does. The world protects predators. How long do I have to say this? I made a whole video about this yesterday. Love a motorbike, right? I would really love to ride on a motorbike, but I just know they're really dangerous. Can you imagine me actually deciding not to do something because it's dangerous? That's like literally the opposite of my personality type. I thought that they'd closed off the fence here, and I was in my head thinking, I might just run and see if I can just clear it and just jump over it. This is how I end up getting injured. And this actually brings me to an important point about us saying about being human as well, right? Like, I was thinking, I used to feel so bad about my scars, right? Because I have a lot of scars, but you can't really tell because, praise Jesus, the melanin is potent. So you can't really tell, like, when you look at my legs, but I actually do have quite a few scars, right? But you can't really tell. You guys know my legs are literally my favorite of all my everything that I have to give in this life. Between my personality, between my appearance, my legs are my favorite of all of it. And so I'm grateful for that. But I was thinking, I always used to feel so, like in a world where, nowadays, all of us girls, we're nipping and tucking everything, like, and I'm just like, I've been in a journey the last couple of years to try to really embrace my own body. Like I've been trying to like really just, as you guys can see, like now I start at my channel, full face of makeup, perfect everything. Like now I'm just here. I'm not wearing any makeup. There's a little bit of mascara. I don't even have a lip gloss right now. Normally I'd have at least lip gloss, I'm trying to embrace my natural self and like, embrace being a human. Like I'm a human because I got scars. Like I used to look at my scars as something embarrassing. Like, oh, I don't have a perfectly looking airbrushed body. Like I don't have the perfect looking this and the perfect that. Like I'm the same as anybody else. I know I come across confidently, but do you think it doesn't get to me looking at all the women of the world who are making everything absolutely prim and proper? And I'm not talking about the really famous, obvious ones. I'm talking about the girlies who are just doing little things that people wouldn't necessarily notice and would assume is natural, right? But it's not natural. And then I'm looking at my body. I'm like, these girls are getting boobs that are now like at their chin. I'm like, I've got real boobs. Like they don't look like that. You know what I mean? Like once upon a time, it was like so cool, but now I'm just like, oh, so now I'm like, I've got every reason to feel less attractive, less beautiful and everything. But then I realized, you know what? All my scars, they carry a story about how I'm a human. Like I was saying, just now I was thinking of jumping over the fence. One of the scars I have on my leg was the first time I did something like that. I was at a park like this, like there's a park over there near me, and there was like a bar. I was like 13 or something, or younger. I was like 11 actually. Yeah, I was like 10 or 11. There was like a bar, and it was about where my nose is, like, or well, maybe my mouth, but definitely somewhere in my head. Or okay, maybe not, maybe my shoulders. Yeah, about my shoulders. And I was like, I'm confident I can run and just hop onto it. Why the hell was I thinking that? But that's the kind of thing I do, right? And I tried it, and then I bumped my leg, and I got up to like halfway down my shin, basically, is where I knocked the bar. The bar knocked halfway down my shin. So it must have been a bit lower than that, because there ain't no way I was clearing. Actually, yeah, because when I used to do high jump, I used to jump about, yeah, so that tracks. It was just over where I used to jump for when I used to do high jump. But anyway, so, it's a story. It's beautiful. I'm a human. You know what I mean? I'm a human, but we live in a world, like I said, where we don't get to be humans. We're not allowed, we don't embrace humanness. We pick and choose. This is why I prefer God. In the world, one thing that's a big deal to somebody is not a big deal to somebody else. Is a medium-sized deal to someone else. Is a this side. I always forget this joke. I used to laugh about this with somebody else, how on Golden Balls, right? It's this show in the UK where it's kind of like, I don't know if anybody's heard of it. Like, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of it all, but it's kind of like you're competing with people for money, and it's a game show, and they have these little golden balls with money in them, and then they all get mixed and different, and you basically get to either tell the truth about what balls you have or lie, and then whoever's at the end gets whatever their balls they choose, that amount of money. And the idea is you want to stay in, but there are some bad balls, right, as well. Anyway, there was one series, and it was so funny. I always watch this when I'm in a hotel in the UK. If it's like 2 a.m, I search on the TV for golden balls. It's my go-to. And it's a really old program. And one of the episodes, they had these people were arguing because somebody tried to say that they only told what is it? They were like, I only told like a tiny lie. You told a whopper. Like as if there's different levels of lying. I'm using that to give the idea that as humans, again, we all, whether we realize it or not, right? This is why love don't live here. This is why everybody's suffering with social anxiety. We all have different estimations of what's reasonable and not reasonable to put up with. And I do think there's a healthy element to it. I think that's what makes relationships beautiful, that you in life, again, people don't think about these things, especially when people talk about romantic relationships. A lot of people talk about they want this. There's not a lot of things to do with like a human person. If somebody's got this particular personality type, is that something that works for you? Because for some people, one type of personality type is intolerable, and to somebody else, it's like the best quality that they have. That's the beauty of being human. Right? But we don't, but at the same time, we have to understand the negatives of that, which is that we then, all of us have our own individual, which again, it's all about self. It's all about self. I think this is acceptable. I don't think this is acceptable. I, and we're quick to be able to let people know that I would never put up with that. But it's like, maybe that's worth it to that person. Maybe whatever that person's getting out of it is worth it for them, whatever the thing is in the world. That's why I love, again, the beauty of people's jobs. Some people really love being outdoors, and they'd rather be outdoors, doing stuff. Like some people love, for me, I don't want a job where I have to talk to people. My favorite times in life are when my mouth is shut, But other people, they're so friendly. They want to talk to everybody. They want to and it's amazing. And I'm so grateful. I love having friends like that, by the way, because then I get to not talk, but I get to do what I like to do, which is observe everything and listen, and it's just the beauty. And that's what made me realize that as I was having this revelation, that, when you actually love somebody, you allow them to be human and you stay there the same. Now, we all have our levels, of course, you can't put up with just anything and everything. That's kind of God's job, right? And he actually does do it, right? But also, we have to understand that this is why I love so much what the Bible talks about, the Bible verse is tatted on my neck. Little children, let us love not just in word, but in deed and in truth. We've become a world where if I have a little fuzzily feeling, then I get to decide that I love you. If I look at you with admiration or adoration or, whatever, or inspiration even, or what's the other one? Infatuation. Oh, I love you. But it's like, no. When you love somebody, when they do something And it's not something that's worth action. Like, it's not like they try to kill you, right? But then again, low-key, this is kind of why I love Sharon Osbourne and Ozzy are like one of my favorite marriages ever, because they just understood who they were with, and they just understood that, kind of like, no offense, but like, no matter what either of us goes through, like we're in this thing. That to me is true loyalty. Not, oh, I'm with you, but here's all the T's and C's and C's and C's, and if this happens, like, it's like when people negotiate about things like breakups. So I'm no interested in romantic relationships in this world. It's like, well, if I'm in a relationship with someone and they lose their job, if they don't get another job within 6 months to 1 year, then I'm leaving them. If I go in a relationship, my partner's going through like that girl, the Lisa Phillips woman, right? I couldn't believe it when she said, one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, when she said it, she was finally ready to talk about it with her husband, and he was like, he doesn't want to have to deal with it. He doesn't want to talk about it. And I was like, the hell? Are you kidding me? You're supposed to be my person. You're probably the safest person I feel to talk to. And you now to tell me now that I'm ready to speak, now you don't want to talk about that. Because why? You know? And it's like they say, even in society today, you can't even be the perfect victim. Like you see with a lot of people that happens, where as a victim, you know, you see this a lot, unfortunately, with sexual crimes, where it's like, me as a woman, right? If I was walking around dressed as a nun, I'm going to get so much more understanding rather than if I walk around dressed as a whore. But the fact is, no one should be forcing themselves on anybody, but at least I'm a better victim if I've gone around dressing like a nun. And it's like, is that really how we operate in the world? Like, this is why I say there's no point me forgiving myself. Like, that's how I actually see it, because I'm not going to be forgiven anyway. Like, from anyone. Like, that's how I feel about it. And that's what changed my life about this channel, actually. Because I'm thinking, these people have put up with the worst of me. Like, I'm all over the place. I'm telling you guys my wildest of thoughts and theories. I'm putting up videos, taking them down. I'm telling you the craziness of it all. I'm airing out my thoughts, you know, all the time. I'm inconsistent. Sometimes you guys will comment and I don't reply even ever. I'm just like I've done nothing. Like, and that's what always bewildered me. I'm like, I've done literally so little for these people and they are still here. And there's so many people I have broken my back for who like didn't have an ounce of grace for me. And I guess in my head, I've translated that as, that's how it's always going to be with like close and personal relationships. Like I said, because for me, it's not about being disappointed. It's about not wanting to disappoint, because like I said, it's sad, but people don't seem to care. It's the same way, like I say, people will be like, oh my gosh, I'm praying that the Lord would send me a friend. I'm praying that the Lord would send me a spouse. I'm praying that the Lord would give me this. I pray that the Lord would give me a platform. It's like, you want it for yourself, right? Because you want you. That's what I'm saying. Selfishness. Like, you want to have it for yourself, so you can feel good about yourself, so you can have friends, so you can be in a relationship, so you can have a platform. But are you thinking about the person, the people that are there? Are you thinking about what you can offer to them? Like, I think a lot of our problems in the world, you know, somebody commented on my Candace Owens video about how, like, you're talking a lot about yourself and it seems like you just want to, and I was like, yeah, I am talking a lot about myself. You know why? Because I'm the only person I can control, and I'm the person I need to improve. I'm the one responsible to improve me. And if we all did that, if we all were looking at ourselves primarily, right, then the world would be a better place. But instead we like to point the finger, forgetting that people are human. That's why I'm like, who the hell are you as a Christian to be like, oh, Adam and Eve. Shut up. You're Adam. You're Eve. You're Adam and Eve. But you want to sit on your high horse of self-righteousness. Like, you're not the same one going off and philandering with other gods. Like, you're not the same one who practices Christianity when it's convenient for you and doesn't when it's not convenient for you, and goes to the denomination that you like, that tells you what you want to hear. It's all about you. This is what I realized when I've been saying love don't live here. Like, I've just experienced that kind of love from God, where I'm just like, God just lets me be human. Like, he lets me be human. He knows when I messed up. He doesn't scold me or tell me about myself or remind me of my past to try and like get back at me. He's like, I know you're a human. And sometimes you do the wrong thing on purpose. Sometimes you don't. But the thing is, that's always going to happen because you're human. Like, last year, I kept finding myself in situations where I was consciously making the wrong decision and talking about it with God. Because I told you guys, the way to get out of doing things is actually to invite God into the situation, which again, we don't see that because of how Christians behave. So I don't like shut God out and try to hide away and pretend. Like, I'm just like, God, I know, like, meanwhile I'll be walking or going to the thing or doing the thing, whatever. God, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I know I shouldn't be. And I just can't help myself. And I was like, God, why would, like, I didn't understand why, when I always say to him, like, God, please just like take over. Holy Spirit, you have you have an all access pass to restraining me from everything. You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, why? And I asked myself constantly, like, God, well, why would you allow me? Like, because you do have the power, technically speaking, to just override my own free will, right? And I'm asking you to do that. And he does do it. And I'm grateful every time, like, thank God, thank you, God, thank you. And and he never really answered me in words, because this is how God works. A lot of times he lets you go through the experience. And I got to the end of last year, right? And I got to the start of this year, and I've just been like, you know what? I'm just a human being. And he's like, and that's why he's like, so that you remember you're human. It's to keep you humble. You're praying to not fall into pride. Well, this is why. Because it's true. I'll consciously do the wrong thing, yeah? And then afterwards, I'm like, God, I'm sorry. And it's not like I'm doing it planning to apologize, but it's like I can feel within myself that I'm not like Paul says, I think it's in the Bible. My spirit is willing, but my flesh is weak. Like, because the part that's tempting me to do it is right now overriding the fact I know I shouldn't be doing it, unfortunately. And I'm like, God, why does this still happen to me with certain things? He's like, well, because you know why? You're a human. And I wanted to remind you that. And every time that happens to you, it humbles you, because it brings you back to the place of understanding that, yes, I can't go and sit and judge somebody else. I can't go and be unforgiving to somebody else. I can't go and try and dictate what I think is or isn't acceptable for somebody else, right? Because I don't know their life. I don't know their story. I don't know the gigantic, like, the ways that they've improved. You know what I'm saying? This is why I love to watch people like Tana. I've said this. I know I watch all the heinous people. Tana Monjo, I always watch her, and she's one of those who reminds me all the time, because, like, it's been 10 years. She did this thing. She's been known to be chaotic on the internet. She shared all her stories, and her growing up story is really sad. She grew up in Vegas. Her dad was a war vet, and it really got to me. He had, like, from what it sounds like, severe PTSD. And she said, talks about how her dad's days where he loved her, and days where he would tell her, like she was the worst thing of anything. And, so she basically got out of her situation by her getting famous. And she's done a lot of bad things along the way, you know what I mean? Like, not favorable things, but she was always pure and genuine. And that's why I always say to you guys, like I was talking about Trisha Paytas yesterday, for the same reason, that I will always side with the people that are pure and genuine, who I can see are actually trying, more than the cream of the crop, the perfectly produced, well-spoken, well-everything people, because a lot of times those people, that's what they're taking pride in. They're the least humble people. They're the least capable of taking accountability. And I look at Tana, and it's like 10 years ago, she did this thing where she tried to throw a VidCon version, TanaCon, and the world won't let her forget. People won't forget. People won't stop bringing it up. And I'm just like, that's so crazy. Like, I'm like, a girl has pulled herself out of it. I mean, now she's like all settling down. She just bought a house in Hawaii with her boyfriend. She's gone sober. And like, I'm just like, you know what's so crazy? That she found a way to get out of a tough situation. A lot of people make excuses. A lot of people turn into horrible folks. Her parents couldn't handle what they went through, right? She managed to pull herself out of a bad situation. In fact, they sued her for defamation. She had to, and that, for me, that is gut-wrenching, to think that your own parents would do that, knowing the truth, and then to sue you for defamation. And of course, you don't have proof, because again, this is the world we live in, right? So how are you supposed to have proof? That's why I think the devil loves to do things when you're a kid, because how are you going to prove anything that happened to you when you're a child? You can't. That's why he loves to get adults to do things to kids, right? Which again, heinous. And, she's pulled herself out of the gutter, right? And in the world, she still will be seen as, that girl that, sleeps around, or, whatever, did whatever, and she's this. And it's so funny how people actually treat people based on their circumstances. Like the word whore. Like the word whore. If people see you as a girl that's just out there who just sleeps with everybody, they treat you like dirt. It's like the same thing that happens to prisoners. Oh, you're a convicted felon, so we're now going to treat you like dirt. Like, I used to think this about prisons. I think this about kids. If you treat a child like they are a bad kid, they're going to become a bad kid, because you're treating them like that. You're treating them like they're scum. When you treat people with love, it's like in what happens in Les Miserables, the thing. When you treat people with love, like, and that's why God, the world comes into judgment. Oh, now I have reasons to look down upon you. Look at you, you heathen. That's why I start calling myself a heathen, a degenerate, a deviant. Yeah, I'm going to wear that on my sleeve. Actually, I'm wearing long live the patriarchy on my sleeve. And I'm talking about God in that aspect. Again, that's why I'm like, thank God for God. Thank God that no matter what, like Jesus actually, like God actually created all of this, right? He knew what we would do from before we were here. He knew what would happen and what was likely to happen, right? Because he knows that if there's not perfection and there's just a window, a crumb of an opportunity for there to be chaos, chaos is going to ensue, hence entropy, right? And, you know, he still brought us here. He still said, you know what? I know they're going to fail and I'm going to come and I'm going to bring the solution for that through Christ. Jesus went through everything he went through. He was betrayed. He was lied upon. He was spat on. He was made fun of. He was heavily critiqued. He was, you know, ridiculed, everything, right? He was betrayed by his own people, everything, right? And did nothing. And he still got on that cross. Anyway, he still got on there and he still said, I'm going to die for them. I'm going to die that they have life. I'm going to die that they don't have to succumb to the consequences of their actions. I will die. And not only will I die, their spirits get to dwell in me. And so therefore, you know, they'll be seen like me and my spirit will now dwell with them. So for now, they even have an upgraded version of a relationship with God. Now God dwells within you and that's the God you people in this freaking world have the audacity to question. This is why I hate it here. And this is why I say love don't live here. Because that's love, mate. Not what we've got going on here. Not all these relationships, right? I know this is so bad, Lord, forgive me for my language. I always want to call them relationships. It almost slips out of my mouth. It almost slips out of my mouth. By the way, I actually don't think cursing is that big of a deal. I think it's just another thing that Christians use to be like, I'm not like the world. Like, I don't listen to secular music and I don't use bad language. It's like, you know what? If I have children, right? My great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren, like even now, actually, ironically, the word shit is no longer censored on YouTube. That's what I'm saying. We're always cascading downhill. So 100 years from now, it won't even be considered a curse word. It'll just be a normal word. Anyway, all the kids use all these languages anyways. They're all allowed. When I was growing up, I remember once upon a time, ironically, right by the same park where I did this injury, I said that word once in front of my dad. Oh, guys, I got a beating. Oh my gosh, the kids of today, they don't know anything like that. They don't. Their parents are like, oh, well, if your friend's doing it, then you get to do it. Anyway, but yeah, this is what we have with our relationships today. It's horror. So no one can gaslight me and and then people will say, yeah, I've realized that a lot of people who struggle to find relationships, the thing is that their standards are just better than everybody else because everybody else is just settled in. Like, it's like what Jesus said about the Pharisees. And I believe most relationships are like this today, right? Because we're all so independent. If we had to function like a village, right? Relationships would be very different because these days, everything you need to do, you need to figure out yourself. And you need to outsource, right? You need to look after yourself. You need to provide for yourself. You need to buy your own food. You need to buy your own things. You need to have your own job. You need to go, if you need health advice, you go and go to a doctor, go to a pharmacy where you're going to have to pay money, right? If you will need help, somebody to talk to work for your problems, you go to therapy. If you need to get in weight, you you pay for a personal trainer, or you pay for a gym. Like, with everything, it's all about you. And so it's easy to have relationships in that aspect. Of course it is. Because you know why? Relationships don't cost you much these days. You basically just hang out and do whatever. Everybody's doing everything on their own dime. And as soon as it comes out of that, it's like when people argue. That's why I can't do all this friendship nonsense anymore. Because I'm like, you know what, guys? I can't do this. Oh, well, are we splitting the bill? I only bought this. I will rather just pay for the full bill myself. Because you know what? I'm happy to be here. I don't want to get into these stupid conversations with people. This is why I don't really want to engage in friendship. It's when men ask me, how much money should I do you think a man should earn every month? I'm like, I don't care. What I care about is being with somebody that I like. Somebody that I want to talk to, somebody that I want to laugh with, somebody that will cheer me up, on a hard day, on a whatever day. That's what I want to be. That's who I want to be with. I don't care about the freaking how much money is in your bank account, because you could have 12,000 zeros in there and be a complete a-hole. Right? And that's what I've noticed again. It'd be the humblest of nicest of people, right? Doing the most simplest of things in life. They'd be the most loveliest, kindest people to be around. The most genuine and most caring. People are shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, a homeless person has nothing and they're still giving away their money to somebody else in need that they can see is better off than them. Yeah, because they've understood what I'm saying about human life. They've had a very humbling lesson. You don't get it because you, even with all your money that you have and all the extras and all the money you waste getting fat, all the money you waste over consuming, all the money you waste on just dumb, stupid things, right, of this world, degenerate behaviors, degenerate activities, you're still selfish, too selfish to go and lend a hand to somebody. I remember once upon a day, the one time this woman says to me, she goes, she did something she helped me somehow. I can't remember what it was. I think I like dropped my shopping and she helped me like put it all back in the bag or something like that. And she's like, did my good deed for the day. It's like, good, well done. Like, do you want to merit? We're supposed to be caring. I thought we were all caring in society. I thought we all loved everyone. I thought we were all, exactly. We don't. We're selfish. We're inherently selfish. Even I am. Like I said to you guys yesterday, but I was talking about cheating the other day. I was like, listen, if it comes to cheating, you know the main reason I wouldn't cheat? I don't like that look for myself. I just don't know. I don't want to be seen as that. I don't want to, and when I say be seen, I mean, I don't want to see myself. Like, I have to look at myself in the mirror every day. I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to live within my own body. I can't live with certain words attached to me in my own estimation. And then again, that's another thing the world loves to do, label everything. You're a this, you're a cheater, you're a this. Like, people, there's no forgiveness. You know what? I don't care if somebody's cheated before. They might not cheat again. Why? When did we become like, maybe there was a reason. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe they just needed to learn a lesson. But it's like, you mess up once. This is why people struggle with maths and science, you know, especially maths. And this is what I face in my job all the time. Kids are so afraid to get things wrong the first time that they don't allow themselves to just try. And I get it, because they're living in a world where they don't get to get things wrong the first time. Adults behave like that with kids. Adults will be like, I don't understand. I've told my child this and they haven't done it. They should listen the first time. I'm like, and how many times does God tell you to do something? How many times did you know you needed to do something, you didn't do it the first time? How many of you this year, this is going to be the 20th year of you telling yourself in January that you're going to get in shape and you're going to join the gym and you're going to stick with it. And then you're still going to be not going back to the gym on January 5th and still paying for that same gym membership for the entire year just to cancel it, just to start it up back again and do the same nonsense. Who are you? This is what I'm saying. Who are you? And we live in that kind of world where there is no forgiveness here. There is no forgiveness. There's a lot of entitlement and selfishness. I am entitled to this. You did this to me. Like the Bible says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. That's why I don't really take things that people do to heart, because I'm like, you know what? It's probably a combination of the kingdom of darkness at work, your proximity to me, the demons maybe in your life, the demons in my life. And honestly, it happens. We're all humans. We're all going to do stuff. It's going to happen. So I don't struggle with forgiveness. Like, that's why I'm not even really afraid myself of being disappointed, because of course I'm going to be disappointed by people, because we're human. It's not something I'm shocked about. I'm not expecting not to be disappointed. I'm not expecting not to be hurt sometimes or upset or be made upset. I'm not expecting not to be heartbroken again. I'm like, it's going to happen because we're human and it's okay. What we do is we learn how we deal with these things. We learn our boundaries. We learn what's reasonable for us to deal with and not deal with for ourselves individually, where we don't come crashing down. That's why the Bible says, when Jesus asked, what are the two most important commandments? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, soul, and strength. Like, God is the source. If you have that relationship with God, you just translate whatever you're experiencing, you translate that to others. That's why the second thing he says is, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. What, instead of, in this world, we feel so entitled for what we expect of others, right? And what we expect from the world, what we expect from God, that we're never really thinking of others. Where it's like, imagine if instead we switch that around, right? Like what Christ is telling us to do. What you think you deserve, you give that to others. What you think you want, you give that to others. What you want in a friend, you become that friend. Right? What you want in a family, you become that kind of family yourself. You know what I mean? What you want in an employer, or, you know, whatever, you become that kind of employer. What you want in the world, you become that. This is why I hate, you guys know, probably my number one pet peeve thing that people say. I wish there was more people like this in the world. Become the person. Become the person. You become that. You put yourself in that position. Right? And that's why I think I struggle in this world, because I'm like, you know what, God, I'm like, there's no point. Now that I've experienced what I've experienced with you, I feel like I've been spoiled. He fatherhooded to the highest order. Because now I'm like, everything else just feels cheap. Everything else just feels superficial. Of course, on a good day, on my best day, listen, when the winning season comes hitting, you don't think everyone's going to want to be my best friend again. You don't think that everybody's not going to be calling. I'm not going to have family members, friends from the past, people who know me. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you in ages. Pretending as if they haven't seen that I'm popping off. You think that's not going to happen? But where are they now? Oh, you know, exactly. And where, exactly. That's the thing. It's like with Jesus, God bless him. when he was in the garden, and he wanted the disciples, like he's praying, he's about to die on the cross. Now I do think there was a part of them that were like not really still getting what was happening. Again, I'm being trying to be sympathetic to the fact they're human. So the idea that, what do you mean you're going to die on the cross and you're going to come back? So maybe they were a bit confused, maybe they were whatever, maybe they were just overwhelmed by all the emotions, because obviously they fell asleep, didn't they? And I always used to think how sad that Jesus was just there alone crying. Like he really could have done with a friend in that moment. You know what I mean? He really could have done with one. And all the disciples were asleep. And it's like, that's the nature of humans. And I used to see that as like a negative, but God sees it almost in a positive way, because he's like, well, I knew you guys were going to be like that. And that's why I had to his plan makes the most sense. He's like, of course you were going to mess this up. Of course you guys were going to be selfish. Of course you were going to choose to eat the fruit. Of course I was going to have to be the one to come and fix it. It was going to have to be. Of course, that's the only answer. That's why I'm so against all this religion stuff. Because it's like, it makes you think that somehow in your own strength, you can do the things that only God can do. Do I know this kid? Because why are they looking at me? Although that looks like my brother, but it's not. He's like about the same age. That's crazy. But yeah, it's like, this is why I know that God is real. Like, this is what I'm saying. Because I know that as a human, if I was left to my own devices, I wouldn't choose good overall. I wouldn't choose good, because we don't. As humans, we don't. That's why I know. I don't need somebody to tell me. I don't need a long explanation. I don't need to read every book of the Bible 1,000 times and read all the Dead Sea Scrolls. All this stuff I'm doing for the sake of to appease the people, so that I'm just building a case so no one can have anything to say about God. That's why I'm doing this series. I don't need to be convinced by all of that, because I've had a relationship. That's what I was thinking of this nun. She was questioning, have I really heard from God? Is God really this? Because I was thinking when she was saying, this is, again, matter of perspective in life. She's like, people have this thing where it's like they look at death and dying, right? As if like, why would God take the good people, right? That's something that people say. And do you know what I often ask God? Why have I not been good enough that you've taken me? I'm obviously not good enough to be for God to let me die. And for me, that's terrifying, because I'd rather not be here. If it was up to me, I wouldn't rather be here. I wouldn't rather exist in this planet until now. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not suicidal or anything, just so you know, right? But I wouldn't choose to be here. I wouldn't. The last few days, the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking constantly about the moment in which I was conceived, and that in that moment, the sperm could have just not penetrated the egg. And I just would never have had to exist. I would have never had to know this life. I would never have had to know this world. So many times in my life, I nearly died, even last year. And it's like, why couldn't I not just end? Why must I exist? So when people talk about dying as if like the person who's dying is lost, I'm like, they're better off. When my grandparents passed away, obviously we're hurt because we're humans and we're thinking of ourselves. I don't want to lose you. I. It's like what people say to people that want to take their lives, and they don't realize how stupid this is. Somebody's at the end of their life. They don't want to be alive anymore, which probably means they're overwhelmed by something. And you want to pile onto their shoulders more by saying, what about the people you leave behind? Do you think they haven't thought about that already? Do you even haven't thought about that? So when they're in their worst state, they don't feel like there's any options. All you want to do is pile more onto it. Lord Jesus, I hate it here. This is what I always think about, yeah? Have you thought about the people that are going to... What about you? And this is the society we live in. Everything is always about the other person, but this other person is never identified. Be conscious of your surroundings. Like, you know what I mean? Like little things like, I'm going to use an example that's actually something that I do think is reasonably respectful, right? Like playing music in the house, right? So where I used to live in London, I loved it there because I lived atop of a TV studio. For a lot of people, they would hate that because it was loud, very loud throughout the day. I loved it because it meant that when I would get home after work, because I would leave the house, like when I was running my company and doing all this stuff, I would leave the house like before sunrise, and I would get back after midnight. So when I would get home, I would be like at the same time cooking, doing my laundry, like doing all this stuff. And so I loved to like blast music and be able to just dance around my place and whatever. And I could do that. I could do all those things because it wasn't going to cost any noise, like the noise of like the washing machine. I could actually do that because I was living there. Now, obviously now, one of my biggest issues I've said to you now is about with me and singing especially is there's nowhere I can actually go to sing because everywhere in the house, if I sing in my house at like full volume, I'm pretty sure both my neighbors will be able to hear, right? If I come outside again, it's a public space. There's literally nowhere for me to sing, right? And that's understandable because I don't want to like, hurt I'm trying to be conscious of other people, but I feel like we're also a society where everything is always just about being conscious about somebody else, Like I heard somebody saying, and this is so true, how people will live in a house or they'll have a car or they'll have whatever and they'll look after it because they don't plan on having it forever. So people literally will have a house. They won't just paint the wall, whatever colors they want or refurbish it however they want, because they're like, oh, we want to make sure we keep the market value. So when we sell this house in maybe 50 years, right, then we're going to be able to, it'll be good to sell. So it means you're going to live in that house and you're going to do minimal work. You're not going to allow yourself to live. Like, we don't allow ourselves to live. This is why I say that we're dying here. We don't allow ourselves to just live. We're not living, we're dying. You know what I mean? We're dying. Because like here, I'm just in all these restrictions. Everything's like restricted. You got to think about somebody else. Be careful how you say this because you might hurt somebody's feelings. In this country where you don't talk about religion and politics because it's not politically correct. Everything's about everybody's little feelings. But it's like, it's not helping us, clearly. And it's like, we don't allow ourselves to live. And I feel like that's what I love about God. It's like, I feel alive. I feel like I'm living. I get to be a human. I get to like put my my walls down. I don't have to overthink how every single thing comes out of my mouth in case it hurts people or it's not politically correct or it's not what society doesn't follow the societal rules. I don't have to be worried if I make a mistake or if I mess up or if I whatever, because God he's not a man. He's not like us. He's not like us. I get to just live. I don't have to overthink like, oh no, what if I'm going to regret this in the future? What if I'm going to, because I have so many regrets. I have so many regrets of things. And I fear that in relationships all the time. I'm like, when people meet me and I seem so sweet and I'm all good and godly these days, I'm like, listen, there's a part of me that feels like I wish I want to tell them like every single thing that I've done wrong so that they can just be aware before they find out one day. And I don't want them to feel betrayed or something, And, to go even deep, should we go there? Oh, should we go there? I will, because if you've gone this far, then I feel like you get to hear this about this, right? Because this I think, was the most hurtful one, right? So you see how I was talking about I was in a relationship, and there's many reasons why this relationship came to an end, but this was a big thing that happened, that's something that I did partially wrong, right? And this is one of those that's very much 2026 societal type of thing that would happen. And with the climate of how society is, you guys going to understand why this one is just something that's just like the darkest cloud that looms over my head, right? So basically what happened is, when me and this guy, before we got together, I remember once upon a time, we went to a park, funny enough, in this town, because he came to see me. This was a long time ago. And he asked me the question, what is my body count? Now, bearing in mind, you guys, I was never having sex with nobody because I was traumatized and I didn't want anybody to see me naked those days, right? I still don't, but it's like I've just accepted that, some people are going to appreciate your body, whatever, like if it's for them, it's for them, you know what I mean? Anyway, but here's the caveat. I didn't really want to answer the question because I was working through my trauma, and at this point, and I know that this is true because 2 years before this, I saw an old message on my Snapchat from that argument I had with another guy because I one day I said to him, I had said to him one thing, and then I said to him, actually, no, that's wrong. It's actually this. And he was like, why would you lie about that? And it was a big deal. But the reason why this was happening, you guys, is not because I was trying to be deceptive. It wasn't because I was trying to lie, right? It's because I had not yet got to the stage in life, which only happened, by the way, it's not even happened yet. Because there's still, I realize one of these recurring dreams I have is God trying to make me realize that about my thoughts on consent. I had classed any type of sexual experience I'd put on that list. So when he first asked me, I gave him the honest answer of like the actual thing. And the only reason I'm not telling you guys again is because it's the internet. So I don't need a clip of me talking about it because it's going to backfire because I live in an unforgiving world. But I would happily actually tell you guys. And then I went away with my grandma. We came back. We got into a relationship, right? And I didn't think we were going to. I was actually taken aback that he asked me to be his girlfriend because I thought it was never going to happen. And if it would, it'd be like maybe a year later. Anyways, I was taken aback. So he asked me, I said yes after this conversation. So this is afterwards. And I guess he was trying to gauge if he wanted to take things further. I didn't think that was happening because I never think anybody's interested in me. That's always takes me aback. Whenever anybody's like, they're like, you didn't realize that I liked you. You didn't realize. I'm like, I didn't realize because why the hell would you like me? Like, that's literally always my thought. Anyway, And that's again why I just act completely natural around men a lot of the time, and probably why they end up liking me, because I'm not overthinking it, because I'm assuming they're not going to like me. Anyway, and so when he was aware, I had this feeling like, oh my gosh, what if I've lied to him because I didn't tell him about this, and this. So I told him afterwards that, oh, by the way, I lied, right? Because I was like, I have to tell him immediately because I don't want to like lie, and I felt guilty. Anyways, guys, I hadn't even lied. And even what I had told him was actually less than that, right? Because unfortunately, I have been in a lot of those situations. When I was younger, it's just a lot, you guys. Anyway, and that was just something that loomed forever in our relationship. And I remember even when we broke up, it was the day before my birthday, which happens to also be the day of my parents' anniversary. So can you imagine, you guys? The day before my birthday, anyway. The day before my birthday, this was 2 months. This was the year I started YouTube. And he brought it up again. And I was just like, we're never going to get past this. And that's when I realized that the relationship was done. No matter, there was a lot of other things, and I was just like, wow, I've been working through so much and I didn't know any better. Like if I didn't know, like I you know what I mean? I still till now struggle to understand, because there's elements of like, you know, like I said, at what age am I held accountable? In some places it's 16, in some places it's 18, in some places it's this. What levels are consensual? Because sometimes it's if you were wearing this or if you were doing that, it's like, you know, you're asking for it, you're being nice, you're being cursed, like you leading somebody on, so you made it seem like you wanted them. Like this probably, if I really think about it, is probably the number one reason why, like of all the examples I can give, why I struggle to forgive myself as well, because it's just like, I don't know what I would have to do, or even to, you know, whatever, because like I don't get to be a human. I don't get to like not have all the answers, not have it all together, make poor decisions and then learn like, you know, maybe I shouldn't have. I've looked back at some of these situations. I've been like, you know what, I shouldn't have conducted myself in this way. It wasn't wise. It doesn't mean that what that person did was right, but I didn't put myself in the right position. You know what I mean? Anyways, guys, I think you guys get the idea. So take that into account. So that's why even nowadays when guys will be like, oh, you must have such a high body count, this and this. And I'm like, honestly, I don't, but I don't know. Because now we're going to have to get into the nitty gritty. It's like, I don't want to ever have to have that conversation with a man. That's me really getting very, very vulnerable. I never want to have that conversation about, well, you know what, actually, I don't know, because do you class if this happened and this happened, is it or not? Because until now, I'm still struggling. Like I've said to you guys, people are so comfortable even touching me to this day, grabbing my face, grown adults, men and women. And by the way, the sexual offense is also men and women as well, I'd like to add. And so it's like, so then I'm also like that. I'm like, do I include the women in it, or do they only care if I was penetrated by a man? And it's just like, oh my gosh. Or do they only care if they did this and they put their feet, oh my gosh, like you can't win. So, you know, that's why I wanted to just say to you all, like, and just kind of get this off my chest. And I wanted to share these examples because I'm trying to give you really real human raw, and I'm trying to be as real and raw with you guys as possible, because I really want us to actually make it to the promised land. God, Jesus, and the love I experienced with God, like if we all could actually love like how God loves, this place would actually be somewhere that would be actually nice to live, you know. And finally, like, I encourage you that if you have problems with God, don't think that God is like a human where he's going to be coming at you. He's going to just want to listen. He has his side of the story. He has his part of the explanation for how things have happened. So go to him as well and give him a shot. Like, give him a chance, the same chance you would want, the same chance we would all want, the same understanding. Go and give that to him and give him a chance. No, that doesn't mean just because you're understanding, you hear somebody out, that you agree with them and now everything's fine and everything's under the carpet. It doesn't mean that the pain goes away. It doesn't mean that you just go back to being the exact same version of yourself or have the relationship the exact same way that you did before the situation. What it means is you're learning to love as a human. And that's what I want us to take away from this. So anyways, you guys, I'm going to leave that there. The sun is moving around. I want to get back to finishing 9 Perfect Strangers because it's very much still the Sabbath. Happy Sabbath, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this has been helpful. And I really feel like, I don't know, I just feel so warm and just so like, this is what it feels like. Like, this is what it feels like to really know God and get to know him and just actually not have to make the excuse, not have to live like finding ways to like, you know, just manage the symptoms, which is what I think most people are just managing their symptoms, and they've just got really good ways of managing it, whether it's getting lost in their work, whether it's they, you know, whatever it is. So always surrounding themselves with people, never being able to sit in silence, you know, whatever it is, whether it's drugs, you know, everybody's on every drug, whether it's having a title, belonging to a group, whether because of your sexuality or because of your race or belonging to a movement because you're a woman and we're feminists, or or red pill. Like, everybody, I feel like, is just managing symptoms, and I'm like, God, I don't want to manage symptoms. The Bible says that Jesus came that I would have freedom. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. But guys, it also says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So I hope this truth sets you guys free. And I've done all this because I love you guys, because it says in 1 John 3:18, little children, let us love not just in word, but in deed and in truth. I love you guys. If life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.